Hey everybody, John from Movie Burners here, back with another review, and I'm going to be discussing one of the few successful comic book releases from Warner Brothers and DC. I'm of course talking about Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman looked like an upturn in fortunes for DC and Warner Brothers after a couple of underwhelming releases in the form of Suicide Squad and Batman vs Superman. Now, I didn't mind either of those films, I've got to be honest. They were very flawed films for very different reasons, and going even further back, I thoroughly enjoyed Man of Steel and I thought that was a fantastic film, one of my favourite Superman films really. But here we have Wonder Woman, of course directed by Patty Jenkins, and I'm not going to turn this review into another DC bash fest. That's been done to the death by a number of people, and it's very easy to do in the in thing at the moment. Now, I'm going to admit, prior to this film being released, I wasn't overly excited for it, but I'm happy to say that I was proved wrong. The story wasn't the strongest I've seen, and there was some minor niggles in there, but I thought it was well cast, this film, and a fairly taut and pacey affair for the most part. It obviously begins in Themyscira, the Amazon island home to Diana, played by Gal Gadot, and her female-dominated group of fierce warriors. And it's obviously magically hidden from the outside. It's 1918 when the film picks up, and it kicks into action with a fairly enjoyable and short training montage, if you'd like, come semi-backstory for the character of Diana. Incidentally, I've seen quite a few people bash this segment of the film. I thought they got it just right personally. Tells of Diana's rise to sort of demigod warrior status, whilst also highlighting the plight of the Amazonians in their previous battle with Ares. I loved that little moving painting sort of a thing they had happening where they narrated the ongoing conflict with Ares. I mean, yeah, okay, it maybe was slightly rushed, and there was some inconsistencies, like the defiance of Queen Hippolyta, played by Connie Nielsen, and then her sudden change of heart on the training issue. But the film, as I says, was a quick-paced affair, and it did what was necessary. Shortly afterwards, Diana's idyllic existence on Themyscira comes to an end, pretty quickly after her final training battle with her aunt, General Antoine, played by Robin Wright, when a mysterious plane manages to break through the magical barrier and crashes into the water right in front of her. It's almost as if fate's calling her forth, and this leads to a sudden intense battle between the Amazonians and the pursuing German soldiers, the result of which gives Diana the encouragement needed to step into her Wonder Woman persona. And the identity of the pilot, meanwhile, is revealed as Captain Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine, an American spy working for British intelligence who possesses a diary that could potentially save the world and hundreds of thousands of lives. His harrowing insight into the horrors of World War I and the deaths of innocents all but makes Diana's mind up, and she and Trevor really make their way off the island with the reluctant blessing of her mother to save humanity, to make their way to London very, very quickly, might add, almost too quickly, where they meet stony resistance from the British intelligence and government services, even after warning of a new hydrogen-based gas being developed by Dr. Poison and General Ludendorff, which could swing the war back in Germany's favour and kill thousands before a peace treaty can be brokered. And there's some good comedy moments in this part of the film that deserve a mention, which I had a good chuckle at. Afterwards though, Diana chastises said military leaders and Steve for their meek impetus on the matter, and the latter, flustered, volunteers to take her to the front with a small group of others to bring the fight to both Poison and Ludendorff. This ragtag group, completed by a drunken Scotsman who original, called Charlie, played by Ewan Bremner, and Samir, played by Saeed Tagmoui, a Moroccan secret agent, set out for German-occupied Belgium together. And they're joined over there by Chief Nappy, a Native American. Now, Lord knows why he was there. I didn't even realise Native Americans were involved in World War I. One of the areas where this film really did excel for me was in its development of Diana's character into Wonder Woman. She leaves the insular society of Themyscira completely oblivious to the customs or norms of humanity, and all the little naiveties and perplexed questioning which stem from this are perfectly portrayed by Gal Gadot. By the end of the film, she's learnt a great deal, she's embraced love and empathy fully, and is very much transformed into the Wonder Woman persona. She is not the greatest actress in the world, I think everyone can agree with that, but she does do a great job in this film despite concerns of how she looked and her acting ability, and much of that I believe was down to Patty Jenkins' wonderful direction. Alongside her in this origin journey is Trevor, played by the fantastic Chris Pine. Chris Pine is a guy that's been on absolute fire for a number of years now, and he's certainly one of my favourite characters in this film. There's an argument to be made for him perhaps overshadowing Wonder Woman and stealing her glory, but I don't really buy into this much. I thought the two played off each other beautifully, and they really did have some good chemistry together. It wasn't all positive though, as I said, there was some issues in there. Firstly, the fractured nature of the film's villains was certainly one of them. They could have picked one and stuck with it, but instead we get three, and none of them are particularly memorable. Ludendorff seems to be the main villain for 3/4 of the film, whilst never really doing anything, and Dr. Poison hangs on to his coattails for much of the time, relying on a face prosthetic and social awkwardness to really look ominous. And then there's a twist at the end, which of course reveals the true identity of Varys. This seemed slightly unnecessary and hastily added to have some sort of a final show for Wonder Woman against an opponent that would actually provide a challenge. The second little niggle I would have, and it's a real pet hate of mine I have to say, is the actors speaking with corny accents and English dialogue. This film is littered with this, especially in German scenes. What made this all the more grating was that they actually had Diana speaking in foreign languages, and then it's counteracted with these other actors speaking in weird accents. Why? I don't know. You'd need to ask the studio and Patty Jenkins that. Thirdly, and finally, is the slight overuse of slow motion in fight scenes. I did enjoy the slow motion, but I felt they did overuse it slightly. Visually, I did find the film to be quite stunning. There was some dodgy points in there, especially in the finale, but it was mostly very well done. The early parts in Themyscira were beautiful, as were the trenches, no man's land, and the early 20th century London scenes looked very authentic. I liked the costume design, especially Pine's gear. That coat deserves a mention of its own, and it should be in the credits because it was that impressive. I wasn't overly awed with the soundtrack, however. It just didn't strike a chord with me for whatever reason, and for the most part it was unmemorable. Even the main theme just seemed off to me. Overall though, I did love this film. A Wonder Woman film has been a long time in the making really, and whilst it's not my favourite character of all time, I can understand the importance of getting a strong female superhero out there. It wasn't perfect as I says, but Patty Jenkins did a great job of marrying comedy and action together to produce a highly enjoyable film, and it's really paved the way for a strong female-led protagonist in these sort of films going forward, something we can see by the announcements of Captain Marvel and more recently Black Widow. And I just pray now that DC can get their act together after the disastrous release of Justice League and build a cinematic universe to rival Marvel. I love DC, they've got a plethora of great characters which are badly being let down with the indecision in the studio. I will be looking forward to the upcoming Aquaman film, and hopefully that can continue in a similar vein to Wonder Woman and not Justice League. But I would say this certainly deserves a watch if you're into the comic book genre. It is certainly one of the best DC films to date, and I will be giving it a 3.5 out of 5. Remember guys, if you're enjoying the content we're putting out, then be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes, and give us a little follow on Facebook at Movie Burner Entertainment and on Twitter at Movie Burners. You can also catch up with all the latest reviews we're putting out at the Movie Burner blog on movieburnerentertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.